I know the dark days make you feel like you can't pull through, but being wrong can make you feel brand new. Rise up together. Let's get real, sister, sister.
Well, hello, my sis, my beautiful sis. How are
Hello,
you?
my beautiful sister.
Okay,
I'm
did you talk
good.
to any squirrels on the way here? Like I just
Of course. Squirrels, birds,
Squirrels,
dogs,
birds.
and cars. Yeah,
Okay, so
of course.
to give our viewers at home a little context, this is my older sister that I have known from another mister since I was 16.
Yes.
This is Reeny T. Holder, and she is a beautiful soul that came into my life just right when I needed you. Our backgrounds of nursing connected us
Yes.
originally, I think. We were trying to figure that out, where we originally met, and we haven't...
It's 30-something years ago.
I
Memory
know.
fades sometimes a bit.
It does. But Reeny has had, she did nursing, and then she had a career. She's now an actress, or is it actor is the right terminology? Like, I never know.
You know, actor's fine.
Actor?
Yeah, actor's fine, yeah.
So I have a question, like right off the bat, what made you change from being a nurse to going, because we lost touch for a while,
Yeah.
right? So,
Oh, geez. I love nursing. I was like in love with doing what I chose to do as a career. And then a person, I won't say his name, Mike Harris, sorry. Sorry, did I say that? Shifted the whole world of nursing. And so I wasn't able to give the care that I wanted to do. So everything was about money and, you know, taking a dead body out and bringing somebody else in to generate income for the facility. And so I got really frustrated because my director of nursing used to say to me, well, you need to leave, you need to go. And I'm like, well, I just want to paint this, you know,
okay, so
person's
not
nails.
to make it about me, but that's why I left nursing,
Yeah.
because I was the one that wanted to hold the patient's hand and talk to them, and they teach you to
Yeah.
be in and out.
Yeah.
And I had a patient die, and I'm like, I can't do this. I'm
Yeah.
way too much of an empath. So I hear you.
Yeah.
I relate to that. So
Absolutely. Like it was a hard decision. So it was weird. I was kind of trying to think, what am I going to do? And then a friend of mine said, hey, you know, you'd be great in the hospitality industry. And then that started a whole new path. And so I went back to school, took my hotel tourism management, and started working at, well, it's now the Delta, but it used to be the Wharton, and then it changed to the Sheraton.
okay, wow, that's
Yeah,
going
so I
back.
started off in banquets and then ended up moving it into the serving and fell in love with it. It's nice to deal with people that are out to have a great experience versus people that are always ill or possibly dying. So I quite captured that.
Which is amazing. But what brought you into then being an actor?
Oh, well, as a nurse, you would probably know you are an actor because you have one personality with your patients, you have another personality with your team members, you have another personality with your patients' family members. And so I was always adapting and changing who I was. And I thought that was interesting because, you know, I'd be like, you know, Shireen, Reeny, you know, do this, do that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden a family member comes in, hi, how's mom? You know, and then they go to director of nursing. Oh, yes, I've taken care of. So, and I was like, wow. And then a friend of mine said, we're doing a play. Were you interested in doing a play? And I've never done theater or anything of such. And so I auditioned, and the role was for a nurse.
Go figure.
And I came straight from the nursing home in my actual uniform, and I auditioned, and I got the part, and I did it, and I fell in love with it. And so I dabbled in that for many years.
Let's chat a little bit about the very first. So I did acting classes with Shireen and modeling.
Oh gosh.
And wow, I think I was 16, 17. I met you downtown, and all of a sudden, Reeny says, okay, you are now to give birth and pretend that you're like the baby coming out. And I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do this? Like, so do you want to show, do you want to can you like she went into full on baby mode. Like I will never forget this moment. Like, come on, just do it.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Right now?
Yes,
like,
this
I'm
raw
like,
moment right
no,
now.
It's because it was something I learned from an amazing acting coach in Toronto. And sometimes he will be pushing you to do certain things that are out of your element. And that was one of the things. So I got that from him. And it was, you are coming out of your mother's, giny or whatever you want to call it.
We can say this.
Yeah,
raw.
I don't. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, it is raw. Yeah. And so I thought the same thing you thought about me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right?
Really?
I was like, what is going on? Like, what have I signed up for?
Yeah.
So why don't you just come on, I need to hear a little bit of it.
Oh my gosh, then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, I've paid money to, take the course. And so I'm like, and then there's the world. I've been born.
And this was my first introduction to you,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh, I love her,
Yeah.
but I cannot
I think
do this.
she's a little off, eh? Yeah, yeah.
A little off.
Yeah, it's
A little
okay.
off. I love
Yeah.
it. Oh, thanks for sharing.
Do you remember when I blindfolded you all and had you
Yes.
have a partner and to feel that
to go
faith
down the stairs?
down
and,
the stairs,
oh,
around the corner,
scared the
and
crap
to
out of me.
yeah, it's scary because you have somebody now that you have to depend on to guide you because now they become your eyes, and what you listen to and how they direct you is how you're guided. And that fear of you see people going on the steps and they're like, because they don't know, right?
Exactly.
But it's that feeling of trust and how to develop that was part of that exercise.
And I think back then, being so young, it was like the scariest thing ever. And now I wonder what I would be like now doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still probably would be like.
Well,
say,
we can
I'm not-
always try it one day.
Maybe.
For sure.
Okay, Reeny, question for you.
Yeah.
What would you say? What defines authenticity for you?
Oh, well, I think the first thing I would think of is being real and true to your own feelings, your own convictions, and not having outside forces or pressures change that. So being authentic is what I feel and what I value, I trust, and that's important, and that's the way in the direction I want to go. And it's easy sometimes to get swayed and to, change and stuff. So it's a powerful word, actually. Bona fide is one of the words they connect with authenticity.
Yes.
Bona fide. And I haven't quite grasped that yet, but just being real and true to what I believe in. And it might not be what everybody else believes in, but it's okay.
So I have my own moral compass within me, but I do personally get very swayed by other people's opinions. But do you have any tips and tricks to kind of stay on that true, authentic path of your own, whether, because I am kind of in the public eye with the magazine and now the show where people have been giving me their opinion on our first show. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I should do this. And it's like, no, that doesn't sit well with me. So I'm not going to change, but maybe I should change because maybe I don't know. My confidence gets rocked.
Yeah, I think, it's easy to want to change to please people. And when you get the actual strength that you don't need to do that, it makes a world of difference. And it is not easy. It is challenging. And I've been in situations where I've had people say, well, you should do this, or, well, you should, blah, 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 whatever. And I started to actually move towards, but my whole innards, like I could feel it in my stomach. I could feel it in my throat. I could feel it throbbing in my head. And I'm like, something doesn't feel right. So my body now is actually telling me, this is bullshit. No, you don't have to do that. And then I got lucky and met my partner in life that basically, like, he kind of was the example of where he lived a life where he lives in his own authenticity. And it's beautiful. And it's not easy. It's not easy. I practice it every day. It's not like it comes like that.
I feel, though, since the R.A.W show, there's something, whether it's turning 50 for me or...
Oh, you're 50, girl? You're not 50.
I'm 50.
Look at you. You don't...
Oh,
yeah. You don't look...
you.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Keep going. No, but I think the give a shit meter has been canceled a little bit. It's like, I don't care I care about people, but I don't allow that to really affect me as much as I used to cry for days when someone would say something to me. And now it's like, okay, thank you for your opinion. Yeah. And if you really matter and you're a big part of my life, I will adapt and I will listen. But if you're just a random that's giving me some advice out of someone that hasn't even done something yourself, then I'm not going to always take that advice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Let's toast to that. Yeah. This tea is lovely, by the way.
Lovely?
Yeah.
Isn't my assistant the best?
She's the best.
Yeah.
Beautiful ginger and lime tea.
But a joke about that, she thought it was the actual bag.
A bag. Oh no, this is
and
the
I'm like,
real...
it's all things raw.
Yeah. raw. Yeah.
Okay. Getting a little bit more serious now. If you care to share, I would love to know. I'm going to kind of preface this question. What has been the most raw moment in your life, or the most aha moment that you feel has been something, whether it's good, bad, ugly, that has really defined you and changed you?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a good question. Let me
Do you
just
need a drink of wine?
Oh, I think I'm going to have a little sip of tea. I might... Okay, so good or bad? Okay. The bad, we'll start with that. Sure. The bad is going through an experience that I went through as a child that I blocked out because I needed to protect myself, and because I didn't have a voice to scream out loud and say, help me, I'm being molested, I'm being sexually assaulted, I need help. So I blocked it out. So that was really, really hard. But then I end up finding a beautiful friend of mine, and one particular night, I got a trigger coming up in the elevator of the apartment I lived in. And the trigger actually brought me back to those moments that I literally put in a very dark, deep closet or attic or basement, whatever. And it hit me that, oh my gosh, I'm a victim of sexual assault. And the first thing I reached for was a bottle of wine, and I started drinking the wine. And I wasn't a drinker, but I had it there for guests, and I started drinking it. And then my girlfriend called me, and she's like, hey, and I guess she could tell something wasn't right. She's like, are you okay? I said, I don't know. Anyways, she lived in Oak Ridge. Within 10 minutes, she was downtown at my apartment. And at that point, I was at the point of, do I jump off the balcony? Do I soak in the sub and drown myself? She came in and she bathed me. She dressed me. She put me in bed. She told me how much she loved me. And there was a moment where I was, I guess, so in pain that I looked at her and I thought she was my mom. It was my good dear friend Anya. Right. And she said, talk to me. She actually said the words, talk to me. And for the first time, I actually had a voice. Before then, I never had a voice. So that was bad, but also good, because I started to realize I had a voice. And then the next day I woke up and I thought, oh, Kleenex, bless your heart. Wasn't planning on crying actually, but the next day I woke up and I thought, well, what do I do now? Because I now have to either deal or accept. And I decided, and this is the part that hurts me, is that my voice got choked. And I thought, no, I can't. And I pushed it back in the closet and I went on and I did a great job. I excelled in school, I excelled in my work, my relationships. And then eventually I had my nervous breakdown. And it just was, okay, you're gonna fucking deal with it now or never. And so my nervous breakdown brought me to where I went to get help. And unfortunately, when I reached out, my mom gave me a number and said, here, you know, call this number. And I went to call and they're like, sure, no problem. It's gonna be 6 months till we can get you in.
Are you kidding me?
6 months. 6 months, I waited to be able to see someone, and I got to see someone, and then my voice started to come alive. I had individual therapy, I had group therapy, I did work, I started to do the vagina monologues, I started to actually speak and my voice came louder and clearer, and it was just a beautiful gift. So my regret is I wish I had my voice earlier.
Same. I feel you, and
Yeah.
this is why R.A.W has been born, because we didn't have a voice back then,
I
and
didn't.
no one's gonna fucking take it away from us now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And
Exactly.
I'm so proud of you and honored that you decided to share this on our couch today.
Absolutely.
We're
It
gonna
used
help
to be a
others.
shameful thing to
Right?
talk about, but now I have people, and I don't know, I think one of my superpowers is that people have a sense of knowing that I can connect with them and see or feel an energy that they have, whether it be
100%.
good. Yeah. So I've been able to do a lot of good work. I've done volunteering. I've been there for many people that have been in the same situation to talk them through it and let them know. And the funny part is, this is just a really off the topic story, but when I was in my group counseling, I met somebody that was 91 years old in counseling, and she just got triggered a year before because of a situation, and she was now choosing to deal with it. But she now could understand why her life was such a chaos and up and down and unsettled, because she still had this to deal with.
I don't care what anyone says, our past really does shape who
yeah.
we are. But again, I was saying this earlier, it's how you choose to use your past, whether it's your power or you allow it to define you.
Yeah.
And back then, just as you said, it's so shame-filled, but now it's almost, you get this strength in being able to share it openly now, and talking about therapy. Like I used to be so embarrassed to say I had a therapist, but now I'd give her number out to anyone.
I'm like, who
right?
doesn't have a therapist
Exactly,
now?
right?
Yeah, it's like,
Because nowadays I think that we all need to, and I read something actually just the other day on an Instagram post about, it's actually a gift when you're in relationships or friendships where people are triggering you. If you have enough self-awareness, that trigger, you can go and heal yourself. Yeah. Right? Like, whereas I think that people come into our lives to help us shape and change and fix maybe things that we're not proud of or whatnot, and actually look within ourselves a lot. So
absolutely. And everything happens for a reason. My lovely partner, when he met me, he met me, but he didn't know the behind me. So certain things started to, transpire in our relationship. And he was there when I was having a really big moment. And his words to me was, I guess, and he used the word God, whoever God is to you or anybody else. He's like, I guess God gave me a second chance, because his first love was also a victim of sexual abuse. But he didn't know how to deal with it. He didn't know how and why, and so he just pulled away. But he got the second chance. So I think having him in my life, I was able to really ground myself because I felt safe in sharing and actually having someone I can actually talk to, other than counselors and therapists. But
But
yeah.
in an actual relationship,
Yes.
that's really important, right?
Yeah.
Because it actually defines us more than
Yeah.
we even realize, right? And triggers can happen, and so,
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, the beautiful thing is in my work, I do work with people that have had, you know, situations, or I role play a person who's had those situations. And so it's that fine line of, okay, this is not Reeny, this is the actor, but I can also somewhat relate, but I can actually help. So when I'm working with the police officers, and they're coming into a domestic abuse or a sexual abuse situation, my role now is very, very like fucking raw in the sense of you need to know how to be able to deal with this. So I have to give them the best play of role so that they can understand and be able to help women, because a lot of times they just
Isn't it interesting how your I'm trying to think of the word, it needs more than just your hardest thing that's happened in your life, but maybe your life defining moment, like the moment where you were most vulnerable, is now become this gift. And I know it might sound odd to say that's a gift, but it is a gift because now you are helping so many people and you're educating and you're speaking out. And that to me is a full circle moment, right?
Absolutely.
So, which is absolutely beautiful. So.
Absolutely. And I mean, I've had the opportunity to tour a lot of universities, and we do different plays, acquaintance rape. I mean, majority of the rapes that happen on university campus happen between Frosh Week, and 70% of the women feel they are responsible because they may have had a drink or may have had two, or they wore the wrong skirt or the wrong shirt. And so we would travel around universities, and we would have security / therapists or social workers at all exits, because all of a sudden you just see someone jump up, start to cry, and bolt. And at least we can catch them and help them and say, okay, let's help you heal. You know?
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question that is
oh, geez.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
Do I need to switch to my wine now?
You could take a swig of wine
no,
if you
I'm
need
good.
to.
This tea is lovely.
Is it lovely?
Way to go, Beth.
Way to go, Beth. Whoever Beth is back there.
Yeah.
Can't see you. Okay, if you could put everybody in a room that you have ever met, dead or alive, and you could only look for one person, who would you look for?
I would look for the father that I never met. Yeah. Yeah. I would, because to this day, I still dream of him and conversations that we would have. And my mom worked for the Prime Minister of Jamaica. And she's like, I want to go to Canada. I want to get away. I want to give my daughter a better life. And he got everything organized, because he brought her from the countryside in Jamaica to Kingston to be his private chef for all of his dignitaries and, you know, whatever. So my mom moved to Kingston and met my father, ended up having me. And so she decided she wanted to come to Canada, but she was just leaving me there for a couple of years, get herself settled. He helped her get all of her immigration, everything. And she came to Canada, went to Brescia, blah, 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 and chose to fall in love with somebody else. So she decided that she's going to take me from Jamaica and bring me to Canada. And then a big battle of the courts. My mom had 2 lawyers. My father could only afford one. And she won. And at 7 years, I flew across on an airplane by myself to come to Canada December 2nd, 1972. And that was it. I never saw my father. I have no memories up until the flight, which is weird. I think I need to see a hypnosis person because I literally only have one memory between my birth and 7, and then the coming here on the plane. And my mom, I said, "Oh, so when are we going to go back to see Daddy?" And she's like, "This is your new daddy." And she pointed to somebody in the airport, and I was just like, so I've never ever got a chance to meet him, but I've heard beautiful things about him. And she made the choice, which is, it still sits a bit.
Right.
Yeah, so I would love to meet him. And because I guess if they...
Is he still around from what you...
I've tried a couple times in my life. I've tried looking for him. I've heard different rumors. He's passed away and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I think I'm not going to give up. But they say if I could be walking on a crowded street in like New York or Los Angeles, and if I walk by him, we have the same walk, we have the same energy. Same laugh, looks, everything.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the hard part, not having my own dad.
Do you think that that has left an emptiness within you? Like, do you feel that it's affected relationships for you?
Did.
Or
It definitely did. It definitely did. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And again, had any coping mechanisms that you've learned to...
Oh, I just would block it out. And it was always really hard, especially when I had great friends that had this beautiful relationship with their dad, and their dad hugged them and loved them and said beautiful things and was there for their, sporting events or, theater or whatever. And those fathering moments, it's still, even to this day, like I'll watch something on television, I'll see your father, and I'll be like, I cry, yeah, because, but I've been blessed because I've had my 2 people that's actually surrogate father me, so that love me like their daughters. So
you actually have a very blessed life. You have a lot of great people around you.
You know what? I'm going to agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely agree with that. And everybody's come in for their own reasons to teach me, or for me to teach them.
Sometimes we never know, right? Like just even like having lost touch with you for so long, and now you've been brought back into my life. And it's just like, sometimes we don't know the reason at the time, and we might know it later on, but yeah.
Well, I am so proud of you and where you've come from and where you are now and the wonderful work you're doing. Being raw is hard because, that famous saying, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words would never hurt me. It's such bullshit, because someone can say something to you when you're 6 years old. And I remember when I came to Canada, December 2nd I came. I think I started school I think it was a Friday. I started school on the Monday. And I was the first and only Black child at Mountsfield. And on the way home, it was fudgy bar, chocolate bar, didn't you bathe? What's the matter with your hair? And all those words. So I remember my mom came home and I had like a friggin' scar burn because I tried to iron my hair.
I did that too. I used to do
that. Because those words were so harmful and it was painful because I thought, well, something's wrong with me. I literally almost took my skin off by scrubbing it to try to see if I can actually
And people don't realize. So I'm going to leave you with something that might help. I used to paint myself with liquid paper because the kids were so nasty. I'd
Oh
come
my
home.
gosh.
So then my dad's best friend, he was, I can't remember where he was from, but he looked at me, and I don't know why this still resonates, and it worked, and it really flipped the switch for me. He said, you look those fucking people in the face and say, why do you pay all that money so you can look like me?
Yeah.
You go on these expensive trips
Yes.
and you put the tanners on. And at age 10, that resonated with me, and I kind of flipped the switch. But it's tough. Kids
Yeah.
are awful.
Yeah, they're cruel. They only learn from
Yeah,
you know,
kids aren't
yeah.
born with that, right?
and I mean, it was hard. It was hard to deal with, and then I remember even the teachers. So being governed under the British in Jamaica, like the educational system was a little bit advanced. So, you know, I mean, they were like, okay, there's a new student in class, and they introduced me, and you know, and they were like, okay, who can say do the numbers 1 to 10? And so like I'm just eager. I'm like, you know, and I come up, you know, and I'm like 1, 2, 3, which is my accent.
Right.
The whole class laughed at me, and I kind of paused, and the teachers go on. I said 4, 5. My voice is getting lower. 6, 7, 8, which is the way. And they laughed again. And I thought my teacher didn't support me and saying, that's not nice.
Exactly.
And again, that's where it's part of where my voice started to shut down. I'm like, if I just don't say anything, nobody will be able to. You know.
Well, I am so honored that you have found your voice. And that
I
you,
got it. I got it so much sometimes it's annoying. My husband, when I have my days of silence, he's like, oh, that's great. Because I do got a voice.
Shereen,
Yes.
I can't believe an hour has already gone by like
It has?
that. So
Oh my gosh.
I want
Okay.
to do something in closing with you that I'm doing with each of my guests.
Oh my
So
gosh. Okay.
You need to close your eyes.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me the first word when I tell you to open them comes to mind. Okay, open.
Love. Love.
I love you.
Love. I love you. Mirror, mirror on the wall. I love you, sister.
No, it's I love you. It's you.
Yeah, okay. Love, hello. Oh my God. Oh, I should have done that a little bit on the other side. That's okay. Sorry.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank
Thank
you.
you for inviting me to.
Thank you for being here.
Together, let's get